without me.
What starts as a Broadway show transforms into a full-on rock concert, a spiritual experience through a story that deserves to be told, about an extraordinary woman who overcame racial injustice and abuse at the hands of her husband, Ike Turner.
She's at the forefront of the hashtag Me Too moment, even though her Me Too was a long time ago.
32-year-old powerhouse Adrienne Warren plays that title role.
I think people are now becoming more and more empowered to take control of their narratives, and I think Tina is one of the prime examples of that, and she is perseverance personified.
I didn't want his money. All I wanted was my name.
When you actually get to know the details and nuances about what she went through, you just cannot believe that someone has gone through that many things and has come out on the other side with light and love.
Why do you want this to happen? Okay, now, the answer's going to be a little difficult. I don't. I don't need a musical. I don't need another show. But I get cards and letters. You can't believe what people think about me on stage and the legacy that I left. People said I gave them hope.
Simply the best.
Her story was adapted for the stage by award-winning playwright Katori Hall.
To be in the room with violence, to be in the room with triumph. I mean, that's the thing I think that really moves audience members every night.
As she sings about on this German TV show, her story starts in a little old town in Tennessee called Nutbush. The year is 1939, and Tina is actually Anna Mae Bullock.
My father was a sharecropper, and actually when I grew up, I worked in the fields picking cotton. And I always dreamed of being an actress while I was in the fields working. I mean, I hated that. I didn't like it at all.
She finally escaped Nutbush when she moved to St. Louis in the mid-50s. And St. Louis is where she met Ike Turner.
By early 1960s, she sings on a song called A Fool in Love. When that record was sold to a record label, Ike Turner turned to Anna Bullock and said, I'm gonna keep all the money. And you are gonna be known as Tina Turner.
Realizing what Tina could do for his career, Ike marries her.
The bigger they got, Ike must have thought, I've got this good thing here. I can never let her go.
I did it as I was told. And it's almost as if you can put yourself in a position of always being told. And even it just doesn't feel good all the time to be under someone's hand.
Is that what it was like? He was in total control?
Absolutely.
Daniel J. Watts plays Ike Turner in the Broadway show.
Growing up in the Confederate South, he saw his father get beat nearly to death by a white mob and then succumbing to those injuries later. He developed this pattern of, this is the world. So when he was able to enact power, he did full-fledged, and unfortunately, Tina caught the brunt of it.
When he was bitter, he was just real awful and real difficult to get along with. And by being a sort of a physically violent man, you never knew when you were going to get it. My life with Ike was one that a lot of maybe people are familiar with, husbands that practice brutality.
He sent her to the emergency room multiple times for black eyes, for bloody noses, for lips that were swollen, for wounds that would cause her to bleed from every part of her body.
Years later, audiences would painfully watch the extent of Ike's abuse play out right on screen in the film What's Love Got to Do with It, starring Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne.
Why did you stay so long?
I felt responsible. I felt that I couldn't leave because too many things would be destroyed. And I stayed because I cared. And when the time actually arrived, I no longer cared because I was actually living a living death anyway, so.
Living death became a feeling so painful, so despairing, that it led Tina to try to take her own life one night in the late 1960s. She wrote in her memoir, quote, I simply couldn't take any more and swallowed 50 sleeping pills. A decade later, Tina finally found the courage to leave Ike.
Tina Turner probably brought
more attention to domestic abuse than anyone had up to that point.
And I think she played an amazing role in making sure that the world understood that this could not be tolerated on any level going forward.
When the divorce was finalized in 1978, she was penniless.
He owned her. I mean, like, actually. He owned all the publishing rights, and she couldn't sing the songs.
Well, no promoters would book me because they felt, well, it's no longer Ike and Tina. She doesn't have a record. There's nothing I can promote.
She had to step out, just become a completely new Tina. But she did scream for that name. Yes. She kept the name. You're like, it might be Turner, but it's Tina. Right. Tina Turner, that's me, that's mine.
Her perseverance gave way to a hugely successful international rock and roll solo career that brought along with it a transformative new look and sound. Tina was now able to do music the way she wanted to do it.
And then the next thing you know, we had What's Love Got to Do with It.
If you heard that story today, a black woman in her 40s trying to make it in the music industry and rock and roll, right? You're like, I don't really know about that. Let alone the way she did it.
Years ago.
Right?
Come on now, honey, and listen to what I say. It's just persistence. And if you believe in yourself, and you're good at what you do, and you know that you are, and you have no doubts, the thought alone and believing it will make it happen for you.
She's sold 200 million albums over her career. She has 8 Grammys.
She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There aren't that many women in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, let alone black women.
And thus, a new generation of listeners found themselves with their hero. That hit was 34 years ago. Today, Tina is retired and living with her husband, Erwin Bach, in Switzerland. She has survived a number of medical setbacks, including a kidney transplant, but she came to New York City to celebrate the show's opening night.
This musical is my life, but it's like poison that turned to medicine.
Great show.
I think we should try to do something together, Lincoln.
I think so.